I don't believe people understand what $1 trillion is, and I'll explain it to you. Each year, every year has 31.5 million seconds. There's a few number of seconds there, 31.5. 1 billion seconds will take you back to 1997, right? Nearly 20 years from in the past. But 1 trillion seconds will take you back to the year 30,000 years before Christ. Australia has well over 1 trillion in debt. And the United States has over 37 trillion in debt. Does the population at large understand these numbers, and will owning gold personally help those people that do understand?
I think that it's very difficult for anyone to understand the magnitude of these numbers. And, the way you have put it dramatically describes really what they really are. But when you get falling purchasing power in a currency, the numbers just become astronomical. I mean, we go back to 1922-23 in Germany. The quantity of paper marks was again in the trillions. Go to Zimbabwe more recently. The numbers were massively into the trillions. Look at Japan. The numbers there are in quadrillions, which is even more. On your 30,000 BC, I mean, I don't know, that probably take us back to the origin of the Earth. So these numbers are just impossible really to comprehend. But they are the inevitable result of the devaluation of a currency if it is not attached to gold. I mean, if you look at sterling, for example, back in 1932, as recently as 1932, you could exchange one sovereign for £1, or more likely, one Bank of England pound for one sovereign. Now, the sovereign is priced in pounds today at about £620 for each sovereign. So that gives you an idea as to how the purchasing power of the sterling pound has declined over the last 90 years. Well, that's just the last 90 years. And this is an accelerating decline. And it's accelerating because suddenly all these governments, G7 governments, have got themselves into an impossible position of declining tax receipts as they raise taxation rates and rising welfare costs. Now, it's beginning to really hit because so restrictive are governments on their underlying economies that the underlying economies are now contracting. So the tax base is contracting and the welfare commitments are increasing even more. Yeah. So what does the government do? Well, they've got a problem. This is already very visible in places like France and Britain. Less so perhaps in America, but it will happen in America as well. Because the declining economy, you find that governments, they are so reluctant to cut their spending. So what happens is that basically they just destroy their currencies. And this is why I maintain that we are now at the end of the fiat currency era. Started in, 1971, when Bretton Woods was finally abandoned. And this really running out of road. And so the astronomical numbers to which you refer are going to increase even more rapidly in the next year or two.
Yeah. I'll never forget waving that $100 trillion Zimbabwean note that I had. And it was worth $1. That was 2008. And it was worth $1.20 Aussie. And the Aussie dollar isn't worth a lot and won't buy much. So you can appreciate what $100 trillion note was worth then. Zero.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. And I love the way Alistair puts it, and the fact that, it's not the gold moving, it's not the price of gold moving, it's not going up, it's the currency, that how many notes that you have to pay to get the same 1 ounce of gold, whether it was a year ago or 1,000 years ago. It's the currency just losing any value whatsoever.